Hey YouTube, it's BudgetBugout, and I am in the Swiss Alps right now at the top of Jungfrau Mountain in Switzerland. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite Swiss Army knives, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's go ahead and walk through what I consider to be the top 10 Swiss Army knives on the market today. And you can find links for all of the products that you're going to see in this video in the description box down below, where you can find these on Amazon.com. And I'm just going to kind of do a quick walkthrough. And yes, there are technically 11 if you count them up on the table, and I'll explain why that is here in a second. But this video is going to show you some key differences between some of the most popular Swiss Army knives that are out there, as well as maybe introduce you guys to some ones that you might not be aware of. So let's go ahead and get started with the classic SD from Victorinox. And this is an excellent keychain knife. This is easily one of my most carried of the Swiss Army knives, just simply because of the purpose that it can serve for everyday carry, and it's ease of carry. So of course you have the knife blade, and you also have a nail file with a little Phillips head, scissors, tweezers, and a toothpick. And it comes in a bunch of different designs. You can get them from, I got that one from Japan, sort of like as a souvenir to remember. And I got SHOT Show, different events and things like that. But it's really cool. Some of these designs, as you see on the table in front of you, a portion of those proceeds will go to support that cause. So here we have Wounded Warrior ones, but there's also national parks ones out there too. So, and of course other noble causes. So just to kind of something to consider when purchasing these. The next one is very similar, but some key differences. So instead of the toothpick and tweezers, this one has a pen as well as a LED, and they also have some white LED ones as well. But anyways, this is known as the Victorinox Signature LITE, and it's also one of my favorites for sure. I mean, I guess all of them are kind of my favorites. Now these next two knives, the one on the left is known as the Tinker, the Swiss Army, or the Victorinox Tinker, and the one on the right is known as the Spartan. And honestly, I consider them to be the same knife, more or less. That's why I consider these to be that's why there's 11 on the table instead of 10. But the key difference is that this has a Phillips head screwdriver, and this has a corkscrew here. But you can see that these ones are going to be larger than the typical classic SD, and so it's going to take up a little bit more pocket space. But you do have a primary and secondary blade. You have some bottle opener. You have a bottle opener and a can opener, and these also have tiny little flathead screwdrivers on top of it as well. And then you have a reamer, or also known as a punch. But anyways, so that is what you're going to get. Now, building upon that, you have the HUNTSMAN, and the key differences are going to be, so you have all of the same tools as you do on the Spartan. You can see with this has a corkscrew and the awls and everything, but you also have this little hook as well as a saw blade. You also have scissors. That's another addition, and those are really the only key differences between what you just saw and the HUNTSMAN. So I will say that the HUNTSMAN, whenever I was in Switzerland, basically I asked him, I said, what is your most popular Swiss Army knife that you sell? And he said it was the HUNTSMAN, so that's what I went with. So just kind of give you a firmer reference of the popularity of these. Another extremely popular Victorinox model, at least for everyday carry, is the Cadet ALOX, and the ALOX is because it has this textured grip handle, but you're not going to have those tweezers or the toothpick that you had in all these other ones, with the exception of that one, of course. But still very slim. You're going to have a slimmer profile than any of these other larger Swiss Army knives. And so if you just need a knife and a bottle opener, can opener type of tools, and then the nail file, if that's all you need, then maybe this is going to be excellent for you. I actually put this in the fifth pocket of my jeans all the time because of how easy it is to transport. And then if I want to go outside, you know, I throw this in a gear bag, because this, I really like that in addition to these tools right here, with the exception of the nail file being switched out with the awl, you also have a saw blade. So this I really think would be an excellent outdoor Swiss Army knife. And then moving over to, this one is not from Victorinox. This one is from SWIZA, I believe is how you pronounce it. But this one has the can opener, has a bottle opener, and a punch, as well as a Phillips head screwdriver. But the difference with this knife blade is that if you attempt to close it, it won't close until you're pressing on the logo. So it has a liner lock that moves out of the way in order to close that blade. So I think that is a pretty cool design, but it does limit where this can be carried, especially if you're in Europe, like I am. I'm stationed over here in Europe at the moment. It's going to limit where you can carry this legally. So just something to consider. And also, as I'm messing with these Swiss Army knives, with all these tools open, just kind of a reminder not to play with knives. And I know that this appeals to a younger audience, so that's why I have to say that. Now moving over to, yes, this is now Victorinox, but it used to be a Wegner. Wegner was purchased by Victorinox. Oh, by the way, this was known as the EVOGRIP 18, but now it's still made by Victorinox. Now this is going to be very similar to the HUNTSMAN. It has the exact same tools except for right back here, right? So instead of a corkscrew and that hook, you have a Phillips head screwdriver. And honestly, I prefer the Phillips head because I don't really drink a lot of wine. So you have the saw blade, you have everything else. That once again, the key difference is how this blade closes. You have to press this right here, and I'm trying to do this somewhat safely, in order for that to close. So just something to keep in mind, and you know, it does make it more safe. So there is that as well. This is known as the Boker Tech Tool, and this is really cool. That some differences for this is that it has a glass breaker right down here, and if you can tell, and also has this little tool. I forget what it's called. But yeah, if you got paracord, this is as far back as it will go. But you know, paracord, you can just easily cut it. You just loop it over and then cut it that way by pulling down. But you can see kind of all the other tools very similar to a Huntsman-esque type of setup, except that it also has these pliers here as another key difference. But you got your punch and your corkscrew down there as well. So moving on to last but certainly not the least, this is from Victorinox once again. And this is known as the Swiss Army Champ. And this one basically has all the tools that you've seen so far, more or less. And it also has a magnifying glass, and it has this little thingy which is a ruler, as well as a, I don't know, I'm not a fisherman, so I'm not sure how to descale fish, but for those of you who do that on a regular basis, you know, maybe throw this in your tackle box. You're good to go. I love fishing, but I wish I had more time for it. But yeah, this is, you know, has that 3D Phillips head screwdriver, you know, all the other tools that you ever want to have if you're reaching your gear bag and you needing the right tool for the job. Okay, so that is pretty much it. I just wanted to end on this note that there are excellent other Swiss Army knives that are out there, and I'll put some runners up in the description box down below if you guys want to check out those links. But I just want to end on, oh, by the way, this is the Victorinox Climber. You guys can, you know, if you're like me and you just are looking for a reason to purchase a knife, what I do is I tell my wife, you know, hey, I want to get a Swiss Army knife to remember this trip by. And now it's useful if you're visiting Switzerland, but you know, I remember that I picked this up in Japan as well. So Victorinox, they're very inexpensive, or I should just say Swiss Army knives are very inexpensive, and it's just a great thing to have on you. And we've had these knives since the World Wars. You can pick these up at the antique markets, which is another thing that I do. It's like, well, we're in an antique market. Oh, I want a Swiss Army knife, and they're usually pretty cheap because they're usually in really bad condition, of course. But I just think it's very interesting. It's been a part of our history for a while, and I'd love to know your thoughts in the description box down below, or in the comment section down below. Y'all stay safe out there, and remember that it pays to be prepared. God bless.